Hello friends, this video on alternating currents part 28 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Please make sure that you have watched all the videos till part 27 before going ahead with part 28. Now let us look at the working of the transformer. So what we do is, towards this primary coil, we provide our input voltage. So this is the input. So the source voltage is applied at this end, and what happens when the primary coil is connected to the AC source, alternating current is produced by this source. Now because of this alternating current, an alternating flux will also be produced in the coils. Now since the flux is alternating, that means the magnetic flux is changing, and due to the change in the magnetic flux, EMF will get induced. So there will be two EMF induction that will take place here. One will be self-induction and the other one would be mutual induction. Both of these will take place simultaneously. So this change in magnetic flux is taking place in the primary coil. So because of this change in flux, there will be self-induced EMF in the primary coil. So self-induction will take place in the primary coil, and since there is a change in magnetic flux with this primary coil, there will be a corresponding change in magnetic flux with the secondary coil, which will give rise to an induced EMF in the secondary coil. So that means mutual induction will take place in the secondary coil. So there will be a self-induced EMF in the primary coil, which can be written as EP. This subscript P is for the primary coil. So this is the induced EMF in the primary coil, which is equal to minus NP d phi by dt, where d phi by dt represents the rate of change of magnetic flux, and NP represents the number of turns in the primary coil, and NS represents the number of turns in the secondary coil. So how do I write induced EMF is equal to minus d phi by dt? Remember your lesson on self-induction and mutual induction. We studied there that flux linkage with any coil is defined as total number of turns into the magnetic flux, which is equal to Li. Right? This is how we define. And what is Li? And from this we can say that N d phi by dt is equal to L di by dt. And what is L di by dt? It is nothing but self-induced EMF. So from this we can write that induced EMF is equal to minus N d phi by dt, where N represents the number of turns on that coil. Now similarly, there will be mutual induction which will be experienced by the secondary coil. So what would be the mutually induced EMF in the secondary coil? So EMF induced in the secondary coil would be equal to minus Ns, that is the number of turns in the secondary coil, into the rate of change of magnetic flux. Right? So these are the EMFs that will get induced on the primary coils and the secondary coils respectively. Now let us assume that the resistance of these windings is 0. For now we assume that the wires which are used to wind at the primary end as well as at the secondary end, their resistances are 0. In that case, the voltage of the supply will be equal to the voltage across the primary coil. That means if we assume that resistance is equal to 0 in primary and secondary coils. So if we assume their resistances to be 0, in that case the voltage of the supply would be equal to the EMF induced in the primary coil. That means this should be equal to the source voltage. So therefore EP, that is EMF induced in the primary coil, is equal to VP, that is voltage across the primary coil. Similarly, the EMF induced in the secondary coil would be the voltage across the secondary. That is this secondary voltage. So that is secondary voltage. So therefore we can write the same expression in this way, that is VP is equal to minus NP d phi by dt, and Vs is equal to minus Ns d phi by dt. So let me number this equation as equation 1 and 2. So if you divide equation 1 with equation 2, what do you get? You get Vp by Vs is equal to Np divided by Ns. That means the voltage that we will receive at the secondary end, because primary voltage is the one which I am supplying, right? That is basically the supply voltage. So we can say that the voltage at the secondary end or secondary voltage would be equal to Ns divided by Np into the primary voltage. So that means how much voltage I will get at the output end, that will depend upon the ratio of the number of turns of the secondary coil to the number of turns of the primary coil, right? So it is completely dependent on how many turns we have at the output end and the input end. So in this case, by looking at this, you can say that whenever number of turns at the secondary coil would be more, the voltage which we'll receive at the output end will be more. So we will talk about that in the next slide, but as of now we'll have a quick review of the working. Let us suppose we connect the primary coil to an AC source. The AC source will supply AC current. The alternating current will give rise to alternating flux. Because of this alternating flux, there will be a self-induced EMF in the primary coil, and there will be a mutually induced EMF in the secondary coil. So we can write down self-induced EMF in this way and the mutually induced EMF in this way, right? Now we assume that the wires which are used for winding purpose at the primary coil as well as the secondary coil, their resistances as 0. In that case, we can say that the self-induced EMF at primary coil is equal to the voltage across the primary coil. Similarly, we can say that the EMF induced at the secondary coil is equal to the voltage across the secondary coil. So we replace them with primary voltage and secondary voltage, and we find that the secondary voltage we received is equal to the ratio of the number of turns to of the secondary coil to the primary coil is equal into multiplied by the voltage at the primary end. Now, one important thing to be noted here is that the power at the input end remains the same at the power at the output end. So if I say that if I am giving some voltage at the input end and I am getting a higher voltage at the output end, that means even though the voltage is increasing, but the net power has to remain the same. So how will the net power remain the same if your voltage is increasing? We know that power is equal to voltage times current, right? I say that I want power to be constant, but I want voltage to increase. So if voltage is increasing, then current has to decrease. So if voltage is becoming double, then current has to half itself so that the net power remains the same. So this is also a very important specification of a transformer, that the power at the input end and the power at the output end remains the same. So when the transformer increases the voltage, it decreases the current, and when the transformer decreases the voltage, it increases the current, so that it keeps the total power at the input end as the same as the total power at the output end. So when we assume that there are no energy losses, see, right now we are just talking about an ideal transformer. We are not considering any loss due to resistance. We are not considering any hysteresis loss. We are not considering any flux leakage. We are not considering any loss as such. We are considering that this is the ideal transformer, right? So here we say that the power input should be equal to the power output. That implies that IPVP, that is the product of voltage, the primary voltage and the primary current, should be equal to the product of the secondary voltage and the secondary current. So now we will talk about the types of transformer. There are two types of transformer based on its working. One is called a step up transformer and the second one is a step down transformer. When we talk of a step up transformer, that means it takes the voltage up. So that means it amplifies the voltage, it increases the voltage. If I give 10 volts as primary voltage, the secondary voltage I get is say 20 volts, 30 volts or 40 volts. That means when the secondary voltage or when the output which we get is higher than the input, then we say that it is a step up transformer. That means it is taking the voltage up. That is why it is called step up. So when will a transformer act as a step up transformer? We saw in the previous slide that the voltage at the secondary end is given by number of turns of secondary coil divided by number of turns of primary coil into the primary voltage. So if I want that the transformer should be a step up transformer. Step up transformer means secondary voltage should be greater than primary voltage. So when is that possible? That is possible only when number of secondary turns is greater than the number of primary turns. As you can see here if you see, the number of turns around the secondary coil is larger when compared to that on the primary coils. So in this case, the transformer will act as a step up transformer, and in such a transformer, the secondary current will always be less than the primary current, so that the power at the input end, that is power input, is equal to power output. Right? So what is the output of a step up transformer? The output of a step up transformer is a high voltage and low current. Right? Now let us talk about the step down transformer. In step down transformer, it is just the other way around. In this case, we want that the secondary voltage should be less than the primary voltage. So for secondary voltage to be less than primary voltage, what do we want? That is possible only when the number of turns on the secondary coil is less than the number of turns in the primary coil, as you can see here in this diagram. So for a step down transformer, the secondary current is very high when compared to the primary current, because the voltage is less, so the current has to be more, so that the input power is equal to the output power. Right? So in this case, what is the net output of a step down transformer? We get low voltage and high current. So these different kinds of transformers have different applications. For example, the step down transformer is used for welding purposes, because in these transformers, in the output we get low voltages but very high current, and extremely high current are used for many welding applications. So step down transformer finds its use in those cases. Similarly, when we talk about step up transformer, we have the power supplies which comes to our homes. Their transformers play a very important role. We will discuss about that in detail in the next slide, but there we will see that we really need something which can amplify the voltage, but it should not increase the current. So transformer becomes the best choice there, where it increases the voltage but at the same time it decreases the current. So we will see that in the next slide. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thank you once again.